welcome back. It is week 18. I am not in my backyard this week. It probably looks a little different. This week I'm visiting my parents who live in Bluffton, South Carolina, which is very close to Hilton Head. That's kind of the local town that everyone's heard of. I have just been relaxing and hanging out, but I thought that this video I could show you some of my mom's garden. So my parents live on about 6.5 acres. The majority of their property they've left wild. It's just forested, not maintained or manicured at all. As you get closer to the house, they've done a lot of sort of like natural landscaping. So it's landscaped, but it's very intentionally using a lot of local plants, and it doesn't look very manicured or you know, like you've brought in a lot of foreign sort of showy plants. The style is more kind of natural, but you know, in an intentional way. And then when you get really close to the house, my mom has like her kitchen garden and some more sort of like where she does like planting and, you know, more of her experimental gardening. So I grew up watching my mom garden inside and outside. I think that's probably where some of my passions come from. And her style is kind of unique in how she selects the plants that she's planting, and, you know, she does a lot of propagating. She does a lot of, you know, trying things out from seed that she'll get from the grocery store or from other places. So I thought just for today's video, to keep it short and sweet, that this is in the front of the house. There's a selection of plants here, and I think this selection of plants is sort of like a good example of my mom's gardening style. So I thought we'd just kind of take a close look at that today. We'll save other parts of the garden for later. So okay, so this is sort of a corner of the front of the house, the landscaping. There's otherwise there's a lot of, again, those natural sort of plants and shrubs and trees, but this corner is kind of an exposed corner. So this is, you know, kind of an area where my mom has taken some liberties to do some fun things. So all the way in the back here is actually, it's a loquat tree. If you've heard of kumquats, loquats are very similar. It's a citrus-like fruit. The origin is China. So my mom actually, she got the seed. So there's a community garden in this neighborhood, and that community garden has a couple of big loquat trees growing that get these orange fruit on them. So she had just picked one of the fruit 4 years ago and planted the seeds 4 years ago, and this is the result. One of them is turning into a really nice tree. So this actually is ready to go in the ground. And that's just something that she has to get around to. I had kind of said that I would help out with that. That didn't quite happen. But this tree probably in a couple more years will start bearing its own fruit potentially. So we'll have a cool little loquat tree right on the property. So that was a successful experiment with some seeds. Right in front of it, we have an ornamental ginger, and this is actually a souvenir plant. So my mom bought the bulb, I guess, for this at an airport. Rhizome. The rhizome for this at an airport in Hawaii. So this is an ornamental ginger. However, my mom was showing me earlier today, she does get, like when she gets ginger from the grocery store, like the little nub that's left, she'll plant it. So she was showing me in all her other little beds where she's got her grocery store ginger that's coming up and will eventually flower. This will flower too. Yeah, eventually. Oh, this won't flower?
No, this will flower. Grocery store ginger doesn't flower.
Okay. The grocery store ginger won't flower, but this will flower eventually. How long ago did you plant this?
This is last year. I mean, I have a whole tub full of this, so I'm putting it all around the house. Okay. They have nice white big canna kind of flower, like, and it has a very nice smell.
Okay. All right, so we're unfortunately we're not here when it's blooming, but it will one day have a nice scented heady flower. And then in front of the ginger are two Mexican petunias. So this is another, my mom had gotten a Mexican petunia plant at one point and was just making a lot of cuttings and is just kind of putting them all over the property. So Mexican petunias, they will have this nice violet kind of flower. They are originally from the Mexico, Caribbean. They were probably brought to Florida in like the 1930s as an ornamental and actually got kind of invasive in Florida. And my mom was even saying that they're becoming somewhat, they grow very easily around even this property. So they love this climate. I think my mom was saying she's zone 8. It's coastal. Right now it's hot and humid. So they're loving that. And then if we come around over here, this is a Mexican shrimp plant, and a friend had actually sort of given her like an offshoot from their Mexican shrimp plant. The reason it's called Mexican shrimp plant is it grows these pink flowers that look like shrimp. They look like they're a crustacean. They're kind of like curved, and they have these like ribs. So the name suits it perfectly. And then here are 2 more plants, which I think this is going to probably start happening to me in a couple years, where I start getting so many plants and just can't keep track of what they all are. But my mom got this from a garden store. We tried to Google it to figure out what it was. It's a vine, and it will have orange flowers. So the leaves remind me of my double play candy corn spirea that I have at home that are not doing well at all. I don't think they're going to make it. But that's a vining plant. And then right next to it over here, she got from the Home Depot. We're pretty sure that it's a plumbago, which also has violet flowers. It'll get pretty big. So that was just a garden store Home Depot purchase. So just, this little corner here is just a fun example of some of the fun things that she's got going on in her garden. And I'll also quickly point out, so just probably like 2 meters from that part of the garden is this established Yupon holly. So this is an example of some of the more just like natural trees that they've incorporated into their landscaping. And what's interesting and special about this tree is that the Native Americans actually used the leaves of this tree in a tea. Supposedly they have like really high caffeine content, so they would actually make this tea prior to going to war. It would kind of give them energy. So I'm thinking, on those days where I look at my schedule and I have like 7 meetings back to back, maybe I need to get one of these trees so I can get like the actual caffeine content I need to get through it, because sometimes, the espressos don't cut it. So that is the little mini tour of my mom's garden. Thank you so much for tuning in. Next week we'll be back in Pennsylvania, but until then, have a great week. See you soon. Bye.